man never raised his voice, and that's why everyone listened. Silence. A boardroom, floor-to-ceiling glass. The city below reduced to geometry and light. 4 executives argue across a polished table. Words overlap. Hands move sharply. Voices sharpen. At the head of the table, one chair remains still. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't defend himself. He simply watches. And one by one, they quiet down. A low ambient hum fades in, because power, when it is real, does not rush to speak. It waits. You've felt it before. The person in the room who says the least, but shifts the most. The one who doesn't chase attention, yet commands it. No theatrics, no declarations, no visible effort. And somehow, you adjust yourself around them. Why? Tonight, we decode subtlety, the unspoken language of power and influence. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Soft room tone. Power rarely announces itself. It does not beg to be believed. It does not explain itself repeatedly. It does not scramble for validation. That is performance. Subtle power is different. It exists in restraint. A pause before answering. A look that lingers 1 second too long. A smile that doesn't fully reveal intention. Subtle power feels like gravity. You don't see it, but you feel yourself leaning toward it. Cut to a dinner party. Warm light. Glassware. Laughter. A woman tells a story. She speaks confidently. People nod politely. Across the table, another woman listens. She doesn't compete. She doesn't correct. But when she finally speaks, the room recalibrates. Her voice is calm, measured, unhurried. She does not try to impress. She assumes she already has, and that assumption is contagious. Influence is rarely about force. It is about perception, and perception is shaped not by what is said, but by what is withheld. A low tonal drone builds quietly. When someone over-explains, they leak insecurity. When someone over-promises, they signal doubt. When someone fills every silence, they reveal fear of being forgotten. But when someone allows silence to expand, others rush to fill it, often with submission. Sound drops to near silence. Imagine someone asking you a direct question. You answer. They simply look at you. No nod, no smile, no reaction. Just eye contact. 3 seconds. 4. 5. You begin to elaborate. You justify. You clarify. You over-explain. They didn't demand it. You offered it. That is subtle dominance. Power often operates through absence. Absence of reaction. Absence of urgency. Absence of visible need. Need weakens leverage. The moment you need approval, you negotiate from below. The moment you need validation, you surrender authority. Subtle power never looks needy, even when it wants something, especially when it wants something. A faint heartbeat rhythm enters. There is another layer. Scarcity. The less available someone is, the more valuable they appear. The less they reveal, the more others project. Projection is powerful, because people fill gaps with their own desires. When someone says little, others imagine depth. When someone remains composed, others imagine strength. Subtlety invites projection, and projection creates mystique. A dim hallway. Fluorescent light flickers. 2 colleagues argue in whispers. At the far end, a supervisor stands still, observing. He does not intervene immediately. He lets discomfort rise. The silence stretches. Finally, he says one sentence. Is this productive? No anger. No threat. Just a question. but it lands like a verdict, because subtle power frames reality, doesn't fight within it. Most people try to dominate space. Subtle power controls time. It answers emails later, returns calls selectively, speaks after everyone else has spoken. Delay creates anticipation. Anticipation creates weight. Weight creates authority. When you respond instantly to everything, you flatten your value. When you choose your moments, you shape perception. The hum intensifies briefly, then softens. Humans fear exclusion. Silence can feel like exclusion. When someone withholds reaction, others feel slightly outside the circle. That discomfort pushes them to re-enter, often by yielding. Subtle power uses that instinct without cruelty. It doesn't attack. It simply refuses to chase. But subtlety is not weakness. It is discipline. It requires emotional control. You do not react to provocation. You do not reveal insecurity. You do not defend against every perceived slight. You conserve your reactions, because reactions are currency. Spend them carelessly, and you are predictable. Conserve them, and people study you. Camera slowly pushes closer. Think about the most intimidating person you've met. Was it the one who shouted, or the one who barely needed to? Intensity is loud. Authority is quiet. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Subtle power works because most people are not aware they are being influenced. They believe they are choosing freely. They believe their deference is logical. They believe their admiration is earned purely by merit. But subtle cues guided them. Pacing, eye contact, stillness, selective engagement. You were not forced. You were calibrated. And now you're starting to notice it. If you've noticed something others might miss, subscribe. These stories continue. Silence. Subtle power understands emotional contrast. When someone becomes angry, subtle authority becomes calmer. When someone rushes, subtle authority slows down. Contrast magnifies control. The calmer one appears stronger, even if internally they are not. Perception precedes truth. Consider interrogation rooms. The most effective interrogators rarely shout. They sit back. They let silence stretch. They allow the mind to amplify its own fear. Humans are wired to fill silence with narrative, and often that narrative betrays them. Subtle power leverages internal noise. It doesn't create external chaos. A kitchen at night, two people arguing. One pleads, explains, defends. The other listens without emotional spillover. The pleading partner grows louder, more frantic, because desperation increases when it meets calm resistance. The calmer one holds emotional ground, and in holding it, shifts the dynamic. Subtlety also operates through boundaries. Clear, unapologetic, non-negotiated. I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me. I'll consider it. No elaborate reasoning. No defensive tone. Boundaries spoken quietly feel immovable. Boundaries shouted feel fragile. A metallic resonance hums faintly. There is danger here, because subtle power can manipulate. It can isolate. It can psychologically corner. The same tools that create authority can create coercion. Ambiguity can breed paranoia. Silence can be weaponized. Distance can become emotional starvation. Subtlety is powerful, but without integrity, it becomes cruelty disguised as composure. Sound drops completely. Now imagine this. You adopt subtlety. You slow your speech. You reduce your reactions. You reveal less. People begin treating you differently, with more caution, more respect, more distance. But then you realize something unsettling. They don't know you. They respond to a projection, a silhouette. And slowly, you begin to disappear inside the persona. Power isolates, because the less people know about you, the safer you feel, but also the lonelier you become. The boardroom returns. The man at the head of the table commands silence effortlessly. He makes decisions with minimal explanation. He leaves before others finish packing. Everyone respects him. No one knows him. He sits alone in his office long after sunset. City lights flicker below. His reflection in the glass looks unfamiliar. Power created distance. Distance created influence. Influence created isolation. Subtlety, when mastered, reshapes social gravity, but it also reshapes identity. The more you withhold, the more others project. The more others project, the less you are seen accurately. Eventually, you are managing perception more than living truth. A low drone grows dissonant. The most powerful subtlety is not silence alone. It is selective vulnerability, revealing just enough humanity to prevent fear from turning into rebellion. A leader who never softens becomes resented. A partner who never opens becomes abandoned. True influence balances mystery with controlled exposure. A glimpse, then retreat. Connection, then composure. Because ultimate power is not domination. It is emotional regulation. When you can sit in silence without panic, you are grounded. When you can delay response without anxiety, you are centered. When you can be misunderstood without scrambling to correct, you are stable. Subtlety begins not as strategy, but as self-control. Soft wind outside a window. Now consider your own life. Where do you over-explain? Where do you rush to fill silence? Where do you reveal too much, too quickly, because you fear being unseen? Subtlety does not mean coldness. It means intentionality. Choosing when to speak, when to react, when to remain still. The unspoken language of power is written in pauses, in timing, in gaze, in boundaries, in the willingness to let discomfort exist without dissolving it. Final image. The boardroom is empty, chairs aligned, lights dim. The head chair remains slightly pulled back, as if someone just stood up, or is about to sit down. Long silence. Power does not shout. It lingers. And the question is no longer whether you can see it. The question is, when you enter a room tomorrow, who will adjust first? Silence. Fade to black.